What if every thought you've ever had, every emotion that's ever moved through you, wasn't just inside you, but echoed across the entire universe? What if your mind, your choices, even your pain, were not isolated events, but reflections of something infinitely larger? From the ancient temples of Egypt to the whispered teachings of the Hermetic philosophers, one timeless truth has endured through the ages. As above, so below. As within, so without. This is the law of correspondence, the idea that everything in existence mirrors everything else. That the microcosm and the macrocosm are bound together, like two sides of the same divine mirror. So if you wish to understand the universe, look within. Because what you see out there is what already lives inside you. Long before science tried to measure the universe, the ancients tried to understand it. They looked at the stars above and the human soul within, and saw the same patterns repeating. In the heart of ancient Egypt, a figure emerged, wrapped in mystery and legend. Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great teacher. Part god, part philosopher, he became the symbol of all who sought to bridge the heavens and the earth. His teachings, gathered in the Hermetic corpus, spoke of 7 laws that govern all of creation. And among them, one stood as the foundation for understanding reality itself. The Law of Correspondence. It says, "As above, so below. As below, so above." A simple phrase, yet it hides a cosmic truth. It means that what happens in one plane of existence has its echo in all others. That the structure of the universe is reflected in the structure of man. That every atom, every thought, every heartbeat is a miniature version of the cosmos itself. In other words, you are not in the universe. You are the universe, observing itself from within. The Hermetic masters believed that if one could understand this reflection, if one could see how the inner world shapes the outer, then they could unlock the secrets of creation itself. And perhaps that's what we've been trying to do ever since. Philosophers have long whispered the same secret, that reality is not something outside of us, but something reflected through us. Plato called it the world of forms, a realm beyond the senses, where every shadow we see in this world corresponds to a perfect, eternal idea. The world we touch is but the echo of that higher truth. Centuries later, the Stoics spoke of the Logos, a divine intelligence that weaves through all of existence, linking the order of the cosmos to the reason within the human soul. Even Spinoza, in his daring vision of God and nature as one, saw no separation between the human mind and the universe itself. To him, to understand oneself was to understand God. And then came the psychologists, those who turned the telescope inward. Carl Jung, the explorer of the unconscious, believed that the world we experience is the mirror of our inner psyche. He called it synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that link our thoughts to outer events. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. In Jung's world, every encounter, every symbol was the universe reflecting the state of our inner being. A dream, a repeated number, a sudden event, none of it random. Everything connected. Everything corresponding. So perhaps, when you look into the world, you are not really seeing it. You are seeing yourself projected onto the screen of reality. For centuries, mystics spoke of the hidden unity behind all things. But today, even science begins to echo that same idea, in its own language of mathematics and energy. Look closely at nature, and you'll find patterns that repeat endlessly. From the swirl of a galaxy to the spiral inside a seashell. This is the logic of fractals, self-similar shapes that mirror themselves at every scale. The ancient Hermetic masters said, "As above, so below." Fractals whisper the same truth. The small contains the whole. Then there is the holographic principle, a theory suggesting that the entire universe might be a projection, every part containing the information of the whole cosmos, just like a hologram. In other words, each of us might carry within our very being the blueprint of everything that exists. Even in quantum physics, we find echoes of correspondence. Particles that exist in two places at once, entangled states that communicate instantly, as if distance itself were an illusion. And what about the observer effect? When the act of observation changes the outcome of the experiment, as though the universe responds to the awareness that perceives it. Could it be that consciousness itself is the mirror through which reality comes alive? Science may not use the language of mystics, but beneath equations and theories, the same reflection persists. The inner and outer worlds are not separate. They are two faces of one infinite pattern.
So what does it all mean? That the ancient wisdom of Hermes, the philosophies of the great thinkers, and the discoveries of modern science are all pointing to the same quiet truth. That the universe is not something happening to you, it's happening through you. Every choice, every fear, every act of love is part of a grand reflection, the infinite seeing itself in the eyes of the finite. The outer world mirrors the inner, the heavens echo the heart, and every soul is a fragment of the same cosmic design, trying to remember where it came from. So the next time you gaze at the stars, don't think of them as distant lights. Think of them as reflections, tiny sparks of the same fire that burns within you. Because the truth of correspondence is not a law written in books or carved in stone. It's a way of seeing. When you understand that what is above is like what is below, and what is within is like what is without, you realize there was never any separation at all. The universe is the mirror, and you are the reflection.